So this is continuation of part one on how Ntabi became a medium. And over time, I realized that this is who I am. I enjoyed seeing people's lives. I enjoyed helping people to solve their problems. I enjoyed being a healer for the first time, an intent healer, because I have been doing this thing for the biggest part of my life, but unconsciously about it. And when I became conscious about there is cause and effect, and when we pray for people, you put your all. And I did not eat. I was just in spirit and I was learning a lot, and I was being taught by my ancestors through dreams, through visions, through trances, through certain appointments where I needed to go to the river on my own. One day, I was just sitting here, and my friend was here at home, and we went to see some beautiful show um, about healers. And we wanted to be cute healers. Like, oh, what's this world really about? How the following day, ancestors come very early in the morning, and I just go into a trance, and they said to me, "Go to the river, alone, alone, me." By myself, me alone. Ah, what guys? Like, go to the river. And I obviously had to beg my mom and my friend to go with me because I could not go alone. And that's how I started to learn about rivers. That's how I started to learn about sending libations at the river, Hopatla, how to speak to ancestors, and what to hear at the river, what to listen to at the river. And for the first time, water spoke to me. I could hear water. I sent messages and messages came back. I had conversations. I sat there and I giggled because they were telling me stories. And my mom and my friend were looking at me taking pictures because I was so engrossed in discussions with people at the river. And it's one of the most phenomenal things where you have water speaking to you. It's one of the most phenomenal things. It's a very weird world where you just sit there and speak to candles and you hear candles, and you speak to a Bible and you hear a Bible. You speak to a glass of water and you hear a glass of water respond back to you. And you realize you are far too connected. Far, far, far too connected. And some of the times you don't know whether you are awake or you are sleeping or you are in trance or where you are, because things are just forever happening through you. Now, then I went back to ancestors and I said to them, "No, I understand what you're trying to teach me and I honor it, but can I please go back and just be me?" And they said, "No, no, your scope of work has changed. There's a lot that you need to do." And I was like, "Yeah, but I can labona. We have our KPAs." That's exactly how I speak to my ancestors. They must be looking at me on some tewing. Ojo muche akaiwo. but 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 that's exactly what I want to teach you, because you get into spirit world and you feel you need to be out of yourself. You feel that you can. I'm not good Gavenek, right? And yeah, and I always get people saying, "But Ntabi, how am I going to speak to my ancestors because ke palelwa ke ho bolela polelo ya heso?" There are no language barriers in the spirit. There are no distance barriers in the spirit. So all of these things are things that just imprison us. They know who I am. They know what I'm gonna come here and speak spirit in the way that I'm speaking spirit. They know gore ke tlo nna mo la ka bolela ka Sepedi and fumble some words. And there's also, my 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 great grandmother, um my grandmother's mother, she did not like me at all in the spirit. Every time I appeared and she spoke to me so harshly, she said I was too soft and I was too happy to be a healer. How are you going to heal? How are you going to combat baloi when you are happy all the time? And that was me. And it's a good thing I had the favor of other ancestors to say, this is the one that we chose. And now you are listening to this conversation about yourself, and you are seeing yourself through other people's eyes, and they don't like who you are because you don't fit the criteria. You are not, oh, and scary, and and all of these things. um but because they are, and if this was their requirement, that there's a part of me that needs to there's a part of me that needs to shout when it's time for shouting, when there's a part of me to be what they want me to be, then they will take over me and I would become that. Not that naturally like a chobolo blind. As people that live with me, they know I'm quite rigid and proper, and I want certain things to be done. But I don't do that when I'm with other people, because then the entire they make me smile kind of me. And so my point is, there are then certain discussions about you that happen in spirit that will affect your life. Where the people that have chosen you sometimes will even say, why did we choose this one? And at some point, I did not want the gift. Some other people, when I had to come and learn their magic, because you have a variation of ancestors inside of you, right? And each of them will come and teach you certain things about their gift and how you need to execute it. So now, when they have brought you, when Tebeng has favored you and brought you, and his mother does not like you, he has to prove that you are the real deal. And you have to have the obedience to learn, even when you are not wanted, even you yourself when you don't want the gift. Because at that point, you are too invested. You've seen what the gift can do. You've seen the truthfulness of ancestors. You've seen the other trust that people place on you to say, Ntabi, I have a problem and I need your help. You are my last resort, right? And so it's a moment where you can't back away, because why? You are too invested. You are too invested, and you've seen that it works, and you know your God and your ancestors can do it for another person, and you become so, yeah. So now the feelings that I started to have when I was chasing a story, the feelings that I started to have when I was proposing a strategy, the feelings that I used to have when I was doing a community drive, when I was still a communications consultant, that feelings of achievement, you now start to have them here, that I need to push this person through, and they've entrusted me to do it, and I need to entrust my own ancestors to do it. And so at some point, we do fight with ancestors. And at some point, I had many clients, and I would do rituals for them, and they would not come back and tell me what happened. And I used to sit and tell my sisters, you are unfair. You can't pull me out of my job, pull me out of my social life, pull me out of my friends, pull me out of everything for me to do this thing where I don't even have traction and I don't have feedback. Why would you do this thing to me? And they're so calm. Ancestors are calm. They're on some, on some drinking. I am komboti, sniffing their snuff, going on with their BBs, and they say, child, are we not working, or are your people not giving you feedback? Okay, I don't know. And they said your people are not giving you feedback. And it hurt me for the longest of time, because I'm used to energy and feedback. I write an article, it gets published, and people feedback on it. I do a strategy, people like it, I get feedback, and you see, so now my manner of bringing corporate into spirit was no longer working for me, because I had to understand that when people are healed, they will move on and be healed and moved on. And they got healed and moved on. Why would they still stick around at surgeries when they have been having their operations and now they're well? They don't come back to Dr. Chabalala and say, oh, doctor, I was just here. I stood on a very long queue to tell you I am fine. No, if you don't have an appointment with them, they will not come back. They are fine. Unless you see them again when they have a problem. And that used to be a thing again in relationships. And that's why I was doing a teaching about, are you dating your partner or your patient? Because I could not tell the difference. I was none the wiser then. So I got into situations where people were attracted to the gift and not to me. But because the gift is encapsulated in me, I would look like, oh, okay, all right, no, are a dating type. But the people are attracted to your spirit, to your healing spirit. And when you do not ask your ancestors, why is this person in my life? Am I healing or am I partnering? You will not know, right? So I had to learn most of the themes that I'm teaching you. The themes that I'm sharing with you, I had to learn them. And I realized that people were saying, it's common. Other healers will tell people, it's common. Phahla, pray. Tla and you find that some people are not being accurate about this. These are the normal things that happen in spirit. But you have to go and consult. Being a spiritual worker, it's a very consultative process. You go and ask about everything. You go and pass about everything. And you listen. You wait for feedback. You wait for feedback. You see. So I've worked for a full 5 years. Good 5 to 6 years. Yes. Yeah. Without not getting what I wanted, which was a baby. Remember that backstory. And I used to pray for people. People would come and say, Tabi, we are trying for a baby. Can you help us? And the sisters would say, yes, give them water, tap water, or give them river water, or give them spring water, or give them water from a waterfall water from a waterfall. Sekoa. Waterfall water. And I gave them. 5 months down the line, no feedback, no nothing. After that, they're like, oh, Ntabi, let's now pray for the delivery of the baby. I'm like, what baby? No, we got pregnant. Shortly a week after, we got pregnant. And I went to my sisters and I said, no, cut. It's not going to work this way. I cannot come here and beg you for one thing only, and you don't give it to me. And you show it, you bring it constantly to my face that you are really doing it for other people, but you are just not doing it for me. So I'm not doing this thing. So November 2019, I said to my sisters, I am giving up. When I wake up tomorrow, you must know what I've resigned. I'm not having this thing. I want for you to give me a baby. If you can't, if this is not a specialty of yours and you can't do it for me, then adios amigos, I'm resigning. If you are wanting to kill me, please send me to the nearest train station. In fact, bring the train on this tar road because you're ancestors and you can do everything. I've seen you can do everything. Bring the train here to Kamiklongkhat. And that was the level of my frustration, you know? And they said to me, come to the river. After being that angry with them, they showed me, we had a meeting. You have meetings all the time. You are forever meeting with ancestors. We had a meeting and they said to me, come to the river. Tomorrow, come to the river. I was like, fine, I'll go to the river. And during the night, I am dreaming of me not coming back from a river. I see myself getting into a river and not coming back. I see my car being parked outside of the river. And I see days are passing, like they're showing me the calendar, day 1, day 2, day 3 passing. And I'm nowhere to be found. So my mother gets very, very scared every time I go to the river, either with a client or by myself or for any reason, because it's a world that she does not know. It's a world that she can enter into. It's a world that she did not get into, you see. And that's why I shared with you a teaching on how to raise a gifted child. Um, the dynamics that come with it, you know. And so after having the dream, they said come at 12 o'clock midday, be there. I thought I was all makaka, I was all arrogant and angry and all of these things. And they said, come to the river. Hmm. I went, ka-ching, ching, ching, start the car, go to the river. And at 12, I sat there. Guess what? There was nobody, nobody, no car parked outside, nothing, no people doing their own rituals, nothing. It was just I at the river. And they said, go to the far end of the river. I go. I'm busy singing my Mazalwane, the Koshataka, my hymns. Because I didn't know Twasa, so I don't know. I don't know any of those songs. I love them. I don't know how to beat Sigupu. Sigupu has never been beat for me. I don't know. I'm envious of such people that have went through that process, because something, or I always had a thing that they knew. They always knew what to do. They always had their guide to, to bounce off messages with them. I was just alone doing this thing with my friend every now and then, and my friend saying, I'm gonna go with you. I don't care where they say we must go, I'm gonna go with you. So I owe my friend Gauri Telele a whole lot. I owe her half of my life, because in the past, yeah, 17 years she's been there, especially in a world that I just could not understand. But because her course is with me as a friend, yeah, she really stuck it out, eh? She really stuck it out. She believed in the gift even when I didn't. Now, I go to the river, and they say, don't get into the river, sit there. And I sit. And after sitting, guess what happens? Water just starts bubbling. Now, people who know how I work, they would know what that is. And there's a being that comes to just greet me. And so water just started bubbling, and I looked at the water and I'm like, whoo. And water just laughed at me. They laughed like hysterical laughter, like oh, ho, 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 like hysterical laughter, the one where people just high five in the air. And they said, go. We wanted to see if you still trusted us. Because if you're going to go into this journey and you lose trust in us, you can never make it. You must always, we will always fight. We will always have our ways. We will always have things that you don't understand. You are still going to be taught things that you don't understand, but never give up the trust in us. And they said, go. And I went. And so I slept that night, and in the dream, I dreamt of myself having 8 arms like an octopus. So there was an arm here, arm there, arm here, arm there, and I had a whole lot of babies. Each arm had a baby. And yeah, the following month I fell pregnant and I have my baby. He's 1 year and 6 months now. He is a handful. He is a very happy baby. He is a blessing. And when I look at him and I heard the stories of my witches that said she will have everything in this world, she'll have the money, the cars, the husband, and everything, but she will never have a child. And I said to them, you will never have my ancestors. And for as long as I have my ancestors, you and I can go tit for tat any day. Come at me with your best witchcrafty thing. Come at me, and I'll show you who my ancestors and who my God is. And I always trusted that. I always trusted that. I have immeasurable faith. I want you to tell me that in Tabi you can't do it. And I will kneel down and pray. I will kneel down and talk to my ancestors, and it will be done. So you must not dare me in spirit. And that is the conviction, the confidence that I have in my own ancestors. So there are many things that my ancestors have done for me. My ancestors have saved me from near death experiences. When I talk about crossovers, it's because I had died a couple of times myself. I had come this close to understanding what happens when you die, what happens when you die by witchcraft, what happens when you die by the hand of God, what happens when you die by your own volition, when you want to become a suicidal person, what kind of death you go into. So I had to learn many, many, many things. I had to cry a lot. I had to be heartbroken. I had to be dumped. I had to be rejected. I had to experience life like a normal person, even when I'm gifted. I had to lose like a normal person, even when I'm gifted. I had to go through the fire, challenges, lack, poverty, having cars repossessed, having houses repossessed, everything I had to go through as part of the journey. And the reason why it took me so long to talk about this thing is because I was still quite angry and bitter at my sisters. And I said, but you make me lose a lot. And the last time they said to me, there's an ancestor of mine that loves English, like loves proper English, like English that I'm like, yo, why? But why are we talking like this? And he said to me, Kharebe, what is the difference between losing and shedding off? And when you go into this discussion, because many times I've came here wanted to record the story and I couldn't, because I was not sure whether I would burst kadilka, I would just come out crying, or would I project the story properly? Would I speak it from a third person like I'm so nonchalant from this thing that had happened to me? Or should I really be speaking in first person like I did to say this is my story? And I can wage any spiritual war with anybody that wants to fight me in the spirit, because I know where I come from. And the spirit said, learn the difference between losing and shedding off. And once you have mastered the difference, then you can go and talk about it. I was like, okay. So I had to shed off a lot of things in order for me to be refined, in order for me to have the sensitivities that I have, in order for me to make your story easy and acceptable, and for you to see the light. I'm not the greatest of healers. I am not. I'm very far from it. But I learned from some of the greatest of healers that you are never a greatest of healers. You are always studying, you are always learning, you are always listening, you are always being recorrected, you are always being fixed, you are always being healed by another person that is sitting across you. So it is never quite a journey where you can say, yeah, Kisho. No. The minute when you start to be sure about anything, that's the minute you start to lose it. Because it's a game of obedience, it's a game of humility, it's a game of having attention, paying attention to detail, listening, waiting. Waiting. People don't wait in spirit because you are used to things happening. But when they show you, this is why things were happening, child, because we've always been there. We've always been making things happen. And now come and learn our ways. And that was the biggest struggle of mine, because I was saying, but you always made things happen. Why must I learn? Because I had to learn so that I can teach. I had to learn so that I can heal myself of many things that have happened to me, many things that I've gotten myself into, you know. Um, there is a real moment where the gift started, and that's when I had depression, and I was hospitalized at a mental facility. And I actually lie when I said Sugubu has not been Sugubud for me. Apparently, right? Not apparently. Yes, there was an occupational therapy class when I was hospitalized at Vista. And the drums, on that day they were playing drums. So we were doing occupational therapy, healing through music. They played drums, and apparently I got into a trance. This is the part where it's apparent, because it was a story told to me. I got into a trance. I lay there for 4 hours. And when I woke up, the white lady who was facilitating that thing said to me, I want you to tell me about the experience that you had, because whatever you were going through was divine, absolutely divine. And in that moment, I went through a voice. It was a male voice saying, do you see where you've driven yourself? You've driven yourself to a place of madness. and it's because you were not attentive. And from here on, I'm going to try to take the driver's seat and you take the passenger seat, and I will drive you to where I need you to go. So I had that experience, and I was at my most depressed, and I was at my most, nothing was working out well. I was under heavy antidepressants and everything. I had to navigate my way through it. I had It was such a wonder, because at that point I was really a prayerful person. I was constantly at church. You know the stories about the charismatic churches where people just sit there for hours. I was one of those people. No judgment. We go through our journeys, right? And I was so surprised. Why would I be this prayerful and this prophetess and still be depressed? It's because my ancestors wanted me to go somewhere else. Some person says, you wanted to take lidlozi la heno ulise bazalwaneng, and it couldn't sit there. And I thought that is the most profound thing I've ever heard. And that's why people are now being taken out of the charismatic church system to be, you know, go back to Mumbabwana, because the entire time your ancestors have always been there with you. But we choose to place our ancestors in different places where they have not chosen for themselves. But now they have to operate through us, and we are taking them everywhere else. And they brought me down to my knees, and I've been the happiest person. When people say, don't you miss corporate? Yo, I miss corporate. I miss the salary. I miss the life of just being you and doing whatever you want. You can go to for a vacation. I miss the life of Miss Independent. I do. But the gratitude that comes with just sorting out and helping and standing in the gap for one more person in the spirit daily, it far exceeds everything else, and I would do it over and over again. And through this journey, I'm really grateful for the support of my mother. Sometimes we grind teeth because it's a world that she does not know, but at all times she just said, for as long as basa all obola moto o nwa madi o ithuta boloyi, for as long as your God and your ancestors are in this thing, I'm gonna back you up. Sometimes there's no backing up because it really gets to the pinnacle of difficulty. And she says, whoo, your ancestors are harsh. But I had to endure whatever I had to endure. There are beautiful, happy moments that I can share. But this is a game of humility and obedience. And if there's anything I want to share with you, is please, at all times, you remain humble. You treat people with care, even when that supernatural element about you just happens all over. You remember to always be humble, because it's not yours, it is theirs. So may the good Lord be with you. May you go through your own journey. May you push through your pain. May you go through your joys. May you go through your victories. May you go through everything else. It's a beautiful journey. And I can't trade it off for anything else in this world. And there's the general sense of knowing, you know. I tell people I used to be very successful and empty. I used to be very successful and hurt. I used to be very successful and broken. And the peace that has come along with having the full support of the ancestors is something that I cannot really just contain in 30 minutes. But I wish you the best on your own personal journeys. And I hope that you look at your ancestors with a different eye, because trust me, they got you all the time. Even when you think that things are not working out, they are working out. And they're the best strategists, they're the best planners, they're the best rewarders, they're the best everything you can ever think of. So, may you prosper. May you believe in your ancestors. May you love the people that you are healing, because I realize that you can't heal what you don't love. And that is why people will choose the most kind person to be a healer, the most giving person to be a healer. Yes, you will go through your pains, but you are the best candidate. So go through your pain, go through your joys, go through everything else. God and ancestors are the best combination ever. May the good Lord be with you. May you prosper. Bye bye.